She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, sighs in the room, get them locked. Eyes like a secret, lips like a trick, playing the game. She's so damn slick. She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, sighs in the room, get them locked. Eyes like a secret, lips like a trick, playing the game. She's so damn slick. She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, signs in the room, got them locked. Eyes like a secret, lips like a trick, playing the game. She's so damn slick.
Okay, welcome to the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I don't even care if it's a really bad one because it'll help the algorithm. So if you really don't like this video, leave a comment. If you do like it, I would appreciate the comment, but most of the time it's positive. So, I'm here on this channel to basically just run through what I did in the process of mixing this track and storyline of creativity. This track is titled Shadow. There's not a real vocalist. It's me making the vocal with AI with Ace Studio. So I end up composing the notes, and then you type in the notes within the MIDI, and it just makes the vocal. There's a pattern of me. When I get stuck on something, it becomes a workhorse, and using that stuff in the toolbox, when it comes to making music, whether it's a certain plugin or just a program. And Ace Studio, I think, is something that's quite cool if you don't have access to a vocalist right away and you just want to make something and have something complete. Because it can be quite hard sometimes to find a vocalist right away, and especially I find just like some of the tunes I make, I really just need an 8-bar hook, and I can cut it up, and it's all put together. But let's slowly, I guess, get into the DAW. What other stories could I say about this? I know that I tried to pitch this to many labels, and I just ended up putting it out on my own, as far as I can say. So yeah, if you really like this tune, I'd love if you can get a copy. But let's get into it, as in how I do things. So as you all may know, I got this track mastered by Tom Frampton. Now I kind of just use plugin called Faster Master, which is developed by David Guetta and Nicky Marrero to master my stuff, because I figure it's like, why not just use that, because it's kind of programmed to his moves. And I'm in Canada. It's kind of shitty to save money nowadays. They love taxing us, but let's not get political on the channel. This is music. So yeah, I have a SSL VCA right here that has 8 channels. I run it through with my UAD interface and back through, coming out 2 channels of my X4, and la-di-da-di-da, it records the stereo track of all the individual tracks. So I'll basically go through the routing within the within this session. But we'll start with like kind of the printed mix, which is kind of a light master of that I've done myself, which is Jesus. So it's here. I've basically just used the fab filter on the side, on the sides here, and it's just cutting off 200 hertz. So anything that's kind of like, I'm basically concentrating on taking out anything that's kind of like a stereo signal that's in the low end of 200 hertz area. So anything that's kind of more back in the 60 hertz, everything at 200 hertz and back is basically mono. So like kick, snare, even though the snares kind of vibrate in other frequencies. I mean, same with kicks or whatever, but you kind of know the deal. I can go on and on. We have the Safara, just using a preset called 3D, which this is going to be a little bit lower because this is not a master. The last one I played is a master, so I'll give this, let's see, a little more.
Shadow, slick with her talk, size in the room, get them locked eyes like secret, lives like a trick, playing the game.
Probably, I think it might be a little too much. Let's see. No. Yeah, that's right. So if you kind of listen to this, I love this plugin because it really makes the mix a little more just widens the mix out. And if you're on this channel, I suggest you probably be in your studio listening to this. And I don't know, headphones might be okay, but I would probably recommend using some studio monitors because you won't hear it on your phone because your phone's a little more kind of mono sounding and there's only one speaker on this stupid phone or whatever, or one's there and one's there. I don't know, depending what kind of phone you have. So here's an example here. Right.
Shadow, slick with her talk.
And kind of things get more of a body and more things get into the mix. And I've been using this plugin for quite a while, which is the Magma, which is a nice little saturator tube. And it just basically, I gain stage this a lot with the actual mix. So the SSL gets turned down for just a couple of decibels, and this gets turned up in the mix to give the check to give the mix more color, right? So even I can move this around to even show you. So Beauty's more kind of like high end, Beast is more like low end. So right, and here's like looks like I'm screwing up the settings now. I think it was that. All good. And then we have like the Oxford inflator. So sometimes, the dynamics get a little screwed up with this plugin, or it just colors it weird, and the punch in the mix kind of goes away. And then I kind of develop things with the Oxford inflator, which is more of kind of like a saturator plugin, and it just kind of hits it different. And then I used Bass Room. This is just to kind of help the mix a little bit, and just does a little bit of, I have it in Dance Pop Guru, and it just kind of takes a setting of what your mix is and tunes it to hit a little better, hit more clean, and say everywhere to translate. Especially mixing bass down can be not easy, and this plugin really speeds the process up to for me to do things. It works for me, and it can work for you. I don't feel I'm like the craziest audio engineer in the world. I just do it and have fun with it, and I'm just expressing what I do. I'm not saying what's right or wrong or whatever, but yeah. Then we go on to the kick drum. Probably do this. There we go. So really with the kick, I'm just using like a waves curves equator, and really it does most of the work for me, and then I tune it up, and has kind of just gives you like a preset to do things, and then I have it side chained with the bass, and it works quite well. I also use a plugin called Snapback, which I've processed it already, because Pro Tools just can't handle when I have that plugin working, and it can be when I'm barely having not much plugins going on. I don't know why. Probably some tech setting or something that I'm not doing right. I got no idea, but Pro Tools can't seem to handle it when I start having it in certain channels, and I can even see that certain things are turning red or blue within the samples, and once it turns red, that's when other things start going off time, and the CPU and all that other crap. And I have like an M1 or M2, I don't know. I don't remember. It's should handle it. Then I've used the Waves Equator, which is another kind of like easy bake oven. I don't know if you guys remember that one. It's girl's toy. Cool, like easy bake oven. You can make really gross baked food that sucks, but every little girl had one. Maybe some boys. But yeah, this is the clap, and it also has snapback on it, but you're not going to see it, right? Then we have just LA2A compressing things, right? You can hear it just being more fuller from the quiet being pulled up to the loud being equal, as a compressor does. And then we have the secondary kind of off time clap right here. So this is just kind of using the curves equator. It's doing a little bit of a different job, and using the LA2A, I think, let's see, I probably compressed it differently. Let's see. They are compressed subtly. This one looks like it has a little bit more than the other. Yeah. And we have the third clap that's kind of, right? It's a backwards kind of, right? And it's kind of quiet just to give it more body. And now that the curves plug in again. And just to let you know, I have like an internal tape machine on a pre-record in Pro Tools, and then I have the drive set back, which gives the low end more, I don't know, I'd say like warmth of the tape machine, and then the tone is set kind of maybe around, I don't know, like 2 o'clock, and it just makes the highs come out more. And it's just Pro Tools Heat, which is the tape machine in it. It's about time they got it a long time ago, but you know, Pro Tools kind of sucks in a way, but I'm just keep using it. Here we have the LA2A again, and it looks like I've given it a little bit of a different setting here within the track. Then we have the hi-hat, just taking out some stuff, right? 7K, some other kind of air that's just not needed, and pulling down -3. No, and this is taking out stuff that I thought was harsh, and then withening it out a little bit.
Get them locked up. Secret lives life.
I don't know if you can hear it, but it kind of just brings it a little bit forward. Probably not really needed, but it still is technically in stereo. I have it running into channel 3, the SSL, and it's panned at like 30%. So, you know, you look at a stereo field, and when you're shaping a song, let's just say you have a circle, and your 100 is here, right? And have the hi-hats around here in the stereo field, your kicks in the middle, claps here. Some people like to move it to there. I keep everything in the middle, right? And you have your hats, and then we can move down to the snare. We have here it's made its own curve. I now, for most tracks, don't use curves on everything. I think it's when I got this plugin, I just started using it on everything, just to kind of see the results. And I really only use it on my kick drums and my bass, because those are quite the problematic things to mix a lot of the time. I'm not knocking this plugin, but I just feel I like using my ear a lot more than just relying on it. I know it's kind of a funny thing to say considering I'm using it for the kick and the low end, but I truly trust it when mixing the low end. Yeah, not that I've done bad with it without it, but yeah, it's just in my toolbox. Then we have the distressor with a preset snare crack.
Get them locked eyes like secret.
Right, and it's really brought most of the volume up. Then we have the trim that's probably within the middle of the hook, just to turn things down, because I don't want to draw the automation with the fader, because then I can't adjust the sound when I want it. And I thought I had everything. I thought I had everything at a good volume, so it's always best to kind of automate it with a volume plugin. Every DAW has it, I'm pretty sure. Logic is known for it. I don't know. Whatever. Then we had the crash. Nothing fancy, just taking out some of the frequencies that I don't need in it and giving it like a nice hump at 200 hertz. Let's move on to the cowbell. And kind of same plugin. This track I feel is very manufactured in a way, kind of AI manufactured because of that vocal and even this, right? And I think there's nothing wrong with using technology and testing it out. And I feel, art is a thing of expressing yourself at the same time. But I do like to use AI for giving me ideas and carving them around. Right. But yeah, let's get into, this is the cowbell here, and it's said that it's want to set like a nice hump within the kind of low mids here, and the mids, you can see 300 to 1K, and that's giving it a nice carve around 4. Then I'm using the drum crack snare because I want, it kind of gives the same aspect what I want from the snare, and I probably move things around. Here's snapback. Seems to be working just fine, and I didn't process it here, but I use this here to kind of give the cowbell a little more attack as well. So I think there's like a little weird sound. Yeah. Yeah, there's kind of like this tonk, tonk, tonk type of. Yeah, so it's kind of just giving the cowbell a little more oomph. And then using the trim in certain areas, we can see here. See, we got the gain, and it's mainly in the breakdown, just so, and I'd say other parts. Yeah, just because I thought I guess within the hook, it's loud, and other parts it's not, so you need to do some mixing. Then we have probably the drum sample, or drum loop, sorry. Seems like, okay. It's not a drum loop. It's a hi-hat, sorry. So didn't really seem like, or sorry, I don't know. It's part of a kind of a hi-hat thing, but it doesn't really seem like I've done much here. And then another percussion. Let's see what I got here. Some like nice ride. Just see what I did here with it. Nothing crazy. Looks like I just cut things off and that's it. Shaker. Again, didn't do anything. Kind of find it funny that I didn't. I don't even know why I've called this IMS track, but whatever. Because of some competition thing with the Academy, and I didn't relabel it. Wow. It's kind of lazy in a way. Uh-oh. Another kind of like effect. I really think I like just tried to just manufacture this track as quick as I could, because it's like there's barely like I didn't really do anything with this, like some of the frequencies of the audio. Let's see. The drum loop. Right, this is here. Just cutting things off, and it. I always use drum loops because it always helps with everything that's there, and to give like the song a little more swing, right? See, it's pretty boring without these drum loops, right? Right, and everything just has more cool swing to it, right? Right, and also kind of just gives everything just a nice swing when you're adding these drum loops, right? And then we have a drum fill. And also snapback is giving it a certain tone as well with it. And it's more to do with like the claps that are in it too, right? Right, so that's with snapback. So this is without snapback. Right? Now it gives it more just that nice cool ump. And then it's with the other snapback here. Yeah, it just opens it up and gives the clap a little more width in the stereo field. And things are just kind of just in the... I have this sample in the background at 81. This is at 62, so this sample is a little more forward. You know, really, and all these drum samples, have their panning previously within them, right? So, like, things are in the mono field, like, or whatever, all the different drums. I just don't want to sit and explain everything, I guess, which I should be. But, yeah, basically, all the panning that I'm doing here, these samples are kind of doing the same thing, right? Then we have the drum fill, which kind of adds more cool with this, I guess, tension with this breakdown. So here it is. Right, and that's a sample from Splice, right? I don't make all these crazy drum rolls. You know, I pick them from Splice because they're quick and easy, and I won't lie, a lot of people do it. I don't think it's a bad thing, and I mean, you know, some people are very purist with production sides of things, and like some of the best people are doing this type of stuff. You know, just using these type of samples and splicing them, and you know, dance music was breeded off of samples, you know, like even Fatboy Slim's Right About Now. Those are just chunks of samples put together, you know, with even other tracks that I don't know, I can't remember half the other ones. But here's another drum roll again to spice things up. Right, so that's this, I think, probably the second breakdown of the song. You know, you can check the song out yourself. And just some EQ moves. I didn't take anything out in the low end because this sample is sitting by itself without other interference of other instruments, right? Right, and it looks like it was already EQ'd. Same with the other one. I just took out some frequencies I think that shouldn't be there and just didn't really do any fancy EQ. And then everything gets thrown into line 3 here, into drum bus, and just compressing, giving it a New York compression here, and then taking away certain frequencies that don't need to be there. Right, that's without it. With, right, opens up more and all that other mumble jumble stuff. And then we have the bass. And I think I'm probably using like a Serum preset most likely, or a Juno. I think it was probably Serum. I go back and forth from like the Roland Cloud plugins and Serum, because I think Serum's got some pretty cool presets to use when I think Serum's got some pretty cool presets to use when producing. I have here the pumper that I'm using, which is another Waves plugin. A lot of people hate Waves. I don't mind Waves. It's part of my plugin arsenal, and some of the great engineers in pop music use Waves plugins. So they're cheap, and I think they sound great. So yeah, and then we got here another Waves plugin, the Curves. And like I'm saying, I basically made the plugin learn, and it gave me an EQ curve and compression. I think I turned the compression off. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like the compression is off because I turned the advanced controls, and here it's like it's not doing anything. So yeah, and the advanced controls is off, so I think it's probably off. And here I'm just taking out, any stereo field around 200 hertz with it, and then widening out a little bit. And it kind of just, this trick here is told not to be used, and some people use it. I remember Tom Frampton telling me when he mastered something a while back that he wanted me to do, it was something with my bass that he wanted it to spread out a little, and he told me to use like an ozone plugin and do this. This is not recommended by other people sometimes, but I tend to use it because I feel it breaks away from the kick and gives it separation with the kick, really. Let's see, I'll show you. Yeah, you can kind of hear the bass is more tucked in the back of the mix versus when I disable it. It ends up gaining its own space. I know it's like in mono, but it kind of just does something. I guess it puts it a little out of phase, probably. Who knows? I really don't feel like I don't know what I'm doing half the time. But yeah, I mean, the results are happening. People like the music. That's what I care about. And they sound great in nightclubs, right? I haven't played this track out personally, but a lot of the stuff I do is kind of the same progression because I've either used the same instruments over again or kind of the same basses, right? And then here's the secondary bass. So this is more kind of like, there's just the lows, and this is more of the high of it. Pumpers being done and kind of the same thing. I think I use some saturation as well with the bass here, and didn't really. I don't think I compressed anything. So we can move on to the keyboard, and then I'll basically come back to the instrumental comp of what's being done there after I kind of go through everything else. But this here is probably an M1 keyboard. Yeah, organ. Pumper, that's just side chaining. Curves again. Yeah, the curves is used throughout this whole song. And then the Fairchild with a threshold, just kind of around 5. Really doesn't seem like it's doing much, but it's barely threading the needle. But this plugin does give tone, right? Just it being on already does something, right? It's like come forward. I don't know why it's doing that. It's kind of weird, but whatever. Oral exciter, and this is just to spice it up. You can hear how dark it is and cloudy without it, versus this just brings everything out. This is another Waves plugin, believe it or not. Come on, Waves, endorse me. The DJ Swivel plugin, which is just widthening the keyboard. This came with Pro Tools new subscription. And then we have the keyboard number 2. More of the hook. And this is probably an M1 as well. Pumper, curves, Fairchild. This time, this looks like it's doing something. And it's kind of, I'm just trimming it a bit, but I feel I probably use this plugin more for a tone rather than compressing a bit, but it is compressing just a little bit because you can see the needle move at the start. So every hit, it's compressing a little bit, so really not doing much. And then the good old oral exciter as usual. Right? Right, so now mix is not cloudy. Then we have the tube saturating stuff. Excuse me. An arpeggiator, which I think this is probably either, I would say it's probably a Juno plugin, who knows? Sounds like something from a Juno, who knows? So, the one knob, side chaining. It looks like I did my own EQ. So, some stuff probably that didn't sound good at 1K and 7K, and bringing it up at around 2. And cutting things out around 200 hertz. Some low end that's not needed. Even though it looks like... Yeah, so there is some stuff in that low-end register that is garbage that doesn't need to be there. Using a tube tech, right? And kind of just a 2-to-1 ratio. Attack in the middle. Release is kind of fast. And really how I like to use this compressor is just have everything play at the same time and just kind of move this compressor around. I like this compressor. It's interesting because I feel it's like unpredictable how it works compared to like an 1176. The 1176 like just moves the way it's supposed to. I just can't figure out the tube tech compressor like when you're moving things. But I do like generally using it. And I just keep everything up and kind of play around with the attack and release of how I want things to hit a certain way, right? right? And because this instrument is going fast, I want a fast release on it, so the needle strikes back versus the attack is kind of slow but doing something, right? And you can kind of see that it's pumping with it, and even in the mix, if you listen, it kind of blends in a little. So I feel like with it, it's just too annoying within it, and then when I use it, it tucks itself in and it just stays in the right place. So like without it, and with it. So it really pops itself in the back, right? And it pops itself up, but kind of sticks in the back because I have it panned in the back, right? But it still, I feel it gives it like an upfront thing. And I'm not really switching the gain on it or gaining things. As far as it is, like I didn't play with any faders after doing it. Yeah. I do like to work compressors a lot that way and not regaining things too much. Is this a saxophone? Yeah, it is a saxophone.
She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, size in the room, goddamn like.
Interesting. It's like I only use the saxophone at certain areas before kicking in. Just interesting, but saxophone just has like a side chain in it. Uh-oh. Up yours. So this side chain there curves the waves equator, which is I have it side chained to, it looks like another instrument, the vocal, because I guess it was getting away in the vocal because the sax kind of vibrates in the area that it's interfering with the vocal. Who knows if it would act the same as if it was a real person, but I'm sure that it would. But every track's different. And then here it looks like I'm using like dynamics to EQ to press down. I feel that if this is like this, I processed this previously because Pro Tools are probably acting stupid. Yeah. And then we have the DJ Swivel plugin, just kind of withening it a little. Right, sounds quite mono sounding without it versus right, which technically the sax is a mono instrument, right? But I want to give this more of kind of like a withy stereo sound, as it is stereo in Pro Tools. Then we have the vocal.
She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, size.
And just adding saturation, de-essing a bit in 1K, or sorry, not 1K. It looks like 10K and 6K. I do feel that Ace Studio has its process and does its stuff, right? But I found, and it does de-ess things. I feel it does. I don't remember. I haven't used Ace Studios for a while, and I think I'm ready to upgrade it probably. But doesn't look like I did any EQ because it was already EQ'd already within I did do EQ. I have an insert here on it's just not showing up. Oh, here it is. Yeah. It's bypassed. Weird. Maybe it's bypassed for a reason.
She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, size in the room. So the Curves EQ is an insert within the Sheps plugin of Waves, and I've just done some optical with an optical compressor. So I think this is the oh god, and it's either the 1176 or the LA2A, one or the other. I think it's I've forgotten what's what it is. But yeah, sometimes I gotta look them up because I forget.
at times. But yeah, I probably have a 2-to-1 compression with it, the attack all the way up and release here with this vocal, and then just even saturation. And here's the tone with it and without.
She moves like a shadow, slide with her top, slides in the room.
Right. Yeah, and it's probably the kind of same thing with this other channel. And I made all these harmonies as well.
She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, slides in the room. Got them locked eyes like a secret.
Right. That's what it's pretty fun, like making your own harmonies with the vocals. It reminds me like the days of when I was using my talk box or my electro spit. I haven't made an electro spit track in a while, and I feel like I've kind of just phased out on using that. I still got it. I think it's a great thing to use, but I got so many of these talk box tracks that I'm just like, nah, right? And I'm still kind of using Groover to promote them a little bit.
She moves like a shadow.
Sounds a little more of like an octave.
Got them locked eyes like a secret. Lives like a trick. Playing the game. She's so damn slick.
Yeah, this is definitely a more poppier sounding record in a way. That's like, I don't know. It's something I created, so cool. So here's the riser. This was made with a plugin called Riser. Kind of just taking a couple of things out here, and yeah, you can hear it with everything here. And probably another riser somewhere else. Yeah, this is like the other area of this. This is like the start of the mix. I can get a little more there. Right, and here's another EQ, just with the riser, nothing fancy because I don't think it's interfering with everything. And then everything's running into an aux of the instrumental comp, and it's just kind of just settings that I picked myself with the Manly. I have things going a slow attack and fast release. And it's kind of just balancing things out. You can even hear the sax gets tucked in, right? Yeah. And then probably the EQ. There you go. Taking on certain frequencies like that low-end stereo stuff and just taking things out that don't need to be needed in the low-end and high-end area that are kind of, I guess, muddy. And then we move on to the effects with the vocal. We can kind of find an area to loop. Let's go here.
She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, size in the room. Got that.
And here using a very large plate, it's called. This kind of looks like a lexicon, and I could be probably wrong, but I can't really see originally what it is, but it's a vintage room plugin, and really this plugin is like another thing that came with the Pro Tools subscription, and it basically just takes all the classic reverb things at the reverbs and delays at the best settings of most of these different ones, like ping pong, and it's all different effects. Then I've basically have a side chain with the effects, so it kind of
she moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, size in the room.
You can hear that it just helps with the effect a little bit to have this sidechain compressed, so every time the vocal comes, it kind of smashes the effect a little and brings like the dry signal a little forward, right?
She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, size in the room.
I guess I would say to give it more balance, but yeah. And then we just have some EQs, just stuff we don't need. I haven't like shined it up or anything, just taking stuff out. Subtractive EQ is great. And then just 1 second time delay.
She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk, size in the room.
Right, kind of boring without it, right? And kind of same thing, just to control it. Sidechain compression within it. Then we just have the... What the hell? Oh, it must be the effect. And then we just have some frequencies taken out. Then we have like a thing like a vocal push that's, it looks like I've just added like a coarse width of this effects EMS box.
She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk.
And it kind of just gives it a little more spread. And then we have another Waves plugin, the Infected Mushroom Pusher. Looks like, it looks like I've used no presets, but it looks like I've just kind of tuned up the high here and the magic, the body, and that's it. This thing kind of like acts like an EQ and a compressor, I guess. And it looks like I turned the focus up, which is probably more of a compressor, I don't know, or the magic, I don't know. I kind of use it as that. It kind of acts as an EQ and a compressor in a way, I think. Then we have the key room, which is the lexicon. And then doing the same thing with the keyboard room, sidechaining the effect, taking out some highs, subtractive EQ, delay, right, on the keyboard. Maybe we can kind of play the keyboard. Oh, it is.
She moves like a shadow, slick with her talk.
Yeah. So without these, kind of boring, right? A little more lively now, right? And then I just have a course going through it. The Brigade course. It's great. I like using it. Works. It's cool. Whatever. Sidechain compression here and just some EQ. And then we have the Capital Room on the sax. Just really, see, very boring without it. More roomy, cool. And then got a delay here. Repalika. Repalika. This is a Native Instruments plugin, and I think it's a Native Instrument. I mean, that N looks like Native Instruments. I think this plugin came with some other plugins or some instrumental plugins and just came with it. Sidechaining the sax here as well. And then we have the arpeggiator room, which is a UAD plugin. Let's go. It should be over here. Let's kind of leave this. Just kind of give you guys an example. So, without it, it's really not good without it, versus it's great with it. Right? It's not like added a lot, but it's added just enough. And I mean, balancing it with the mixing and all that other stuff. Sidechaining here with an 1176 stock Pro Tools plugin. And then just taking subtractive EQ again, and then a delay, which I think is like ping pong. And then sidechaining it and stuff like that. So, yeah, that is about it. So let's give you a full screen So, please, if you can, subscribe, which is probably right there. I really thank for you sitting through listening to me mumble jumble about this track. Please be awesome if you can support. And, DJs play it out. If you don't like the vocal, get the instrumental, because the instrumental's pretty cool. Thank you very much for tuning in. I don't really have much more to say, but bye-bye, and I'll see you on the next one with the track or whatever. It's just, yeah, whatever, man. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.